Hello, beautiful souls, goddesses, queens, kings. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me, for giving me permission to show up in my truth, in my authenticity, to share my voice, to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, and to share my unique medicine and gifts with the world. It is my privilege, my honor, and I am so blessed to be here with you today. This is the first episode of the Live Fully Now podcast, and it is a space where we discover and play in the space of what makes us our highest self. How can we step from merely surviving into a space of thriving? How can we go and take our power back? How can we reclaim our sovereignty, our truth, our message, our mess, and make it our message? How can we reclaim and step into the abundance that is our birthright? How can we join hands with our brothers and sisters and rise together, shine our beautiful divine light together, and hold hands as we create heaven on earth? It is time for us to rise, to shine, to celebrate each other, and to hold hands in community, in sacred space, to lift the collective consciousness in the formation of this next golden age and this paradigm shift. So again, thank you so much for listening and being one of the beautiful souls and fellow lightworkers that is here with the mission to raise the frequency, the vibration of the planet and save our Mother Earth. We are the way showers. We are the leaders. We are the people who break the rules, who break the matrix, who get out of the system and shine. We jump into fears even though we're afraid. We jump into the dark even though it's scary. We take risks even though we're afraid, because we know on the other side of that is where our magic lies, on the other side of our comfort zone, and what society and culture has told us is where the magic exists. That is where our spark, our soul is set on fire, and where we can use this flame to ignite others in community around us, to raise the collective up for the highest and greatest good of all. And my mission with this podcast is to give people permission to be seen, to be heard, to share, and to be of service for the highest and greatest good of all as we step into this new earth paradigm. So again, I ask universe, please use me for the highest and greatest good of all. Let me show up for my brothers and sisters with authenticity, with truth, and may truth run through me. May you use me as a vessel for wisdom, for higher consciousness, to express and share my medicine, my gifts with the world. Thank you. So as we get started, this is going to be a solo podcast and just a little bit of an introduction and a way for you to get to know me. So a little bit about my story and what led me here, wanting to lead a podcast, which is crazy in hindsight, because if I would have told myself 5 years ago, even 1 year ago, that I would be starting a podcast and have the courage to share my voice, I would have thought I was literally insane. Because my biggest issue and my biggest blockage has always been my throat chakra. I have struggled throughout my whole life with speaking my truth, with speaking my voice, with sharing my unique energy, frequency, and vibration that is my voice. And doing that was doing the world a disservice. So I knew that I needed to step out of my comfort zone and make myself uncomfortable so that I could grow and shine and give other people permission also to share their voice, and to also give other people permission to not be perfect, to not have it all figured out, and to still show up and share, and to not be afraid of shining your light, to not be afraid of being too much or not enough. And these have all been lessons that I have been going through and continue to go through and continue to grow through. So about a year ago, I had a huge transformational leap, if you will. I spent the last 10 years of my life as a trauma nurse, and as you probably can imagine, during the pandemic, I was completely a mess. My sympathetic nervous system was on overdrive. I was always in fight or flight response and was completely burnt out, overwhelmed, out of control. Um, Debilitating symptoms physically, like going to the emergency room myself and being a patient multiple times, with no outcome or results. And then also the mental health issue of dealing with debilitating anxiety, panic attacks, and depression and insomnia, and all of these things. And what I've realized is that the reason that I was experiencing these physical symptoms and these mental health symptoms was because it was actually me not expressing my emotions, because energy is, we are energy. Emotions are energy in motion. And when we don't allow ourselves to express the emotions, they get trapped in our body. And I noticed that my whole life, from my childhood trauma to my trauma of being a nurse in trauma and not given the permission to grieve or to process these traumatic events that were so overstimulating and triggering of my own trauma, not being able to express these emotions and these feelings, I was so disassociated from my body, because there was a point where I just said I can't do it anymore. And this sympathetic response of safety, which is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, I was frozen. I was a little soul floating above my body. My physical body was torn to shreds. My mental health was also gone. And I had this on my knees moment where I was just a mess, praying on the ground, crying. Whew, and brings me to tears now, because that pain is so real, where you are so desperate and feel so alone, and you feel like you're losing yourself. And that was the moment where I said, something has to change right now. I can't go on like this. I'm losing myself. I'm losing my spark. I'm losing my fire, my passion, my magic that makes me unique, that makes me me. And I knew I had to do something. And all of that stuff was being trapped. All of those emotions were being trapped because I didn't know how to process them, because I was disassociated from my body, because I was disassociated from my breath. And I didn't have access to knowing how to feel or cope with them, and was reacting and to these triggers and these responses very unconsciously based on my survival brain. And it deteriorated my relationship with my partner of 8 years. It made me living in my home that I had bought and lived in for 2 years intolerable. Uh, it made me being me intolerable, because I had access to this intuitive voice and knowing in my gut for about 10 years, and I continued to self sabotage and not listen to my gut, my truth, my intuition. And it started off as a silent stir, just like a whisper. And I always heard it, but I never paid attention to it. And I shoved it down, shoved it down, shoved it down. And I kept myself very busy trying to do all the right things that my parents told me to do, that society told me to do. I had the house, I had the relationship, I had the job. I mean, I had it all. Check one box A, B, and C. I had them. And I should be happy now, but I had never been more miserable. And I was losing myself, and I had to fight back. And that fight required an immense amount of courage. And my message with this way of discovering your intuition, of course, this is the way that was meant for my being to manifest this connection with intuition, this really dark, rough, intense transition, where mine was like an exploding fire breathing dragon, like destructing everything in its pathway. I definitely don't recommend going down this pathway of waiting until your intuition is a scream, because let me tell you, that is so highly uncomfortable. And if you listen to the whispers and allow the intuition to lead the way, rather than shoving it down and shoving it down, and you feel your emotions, because we have to feel it to heal it. You allow yourself to access these emotions, these feelings. You allow yourself to access this intuition, this knowing, and follow that rather than ignoring it and doing life for other people and the way that other people and society tells us that we have to do it in order to be successful, that is the way to do it. But again, my soul chose this path, this dharma, this purpose, this struggle, this pain, which has alchemized into so much light and given me the courage and the power to speak and to be here with you today. So I would not change any of it at all. But the courage that it took for me to realize that I was not listening to my gut. I was not living my truth. I was not living in authenticity. I was living life seeking external validation by my parents, by society, by my partner, by everyone else, and what their norm of success and living a good life was. But I always knew, even before I bought my house, I knew I didn't want a house. I knew I didn't want a marriage. I knew I didn't want this cookie cutter life. In fact, my mantra has always been, I will never live just to pay bills and work to die and realize that I messed it all up, and I found myself living in exactly what I told myself that I wouldn't do. And that was the moment as well where I was like, wow, you are far gone. You are so gone, girl. You don't even know who you are anymore. And that is when the fight began. And it wasn't pretty. And, a lot of people and things and everyone around me was affected and hurt by it, and I was hurt. At this moment where I decided I was going to quit my nursing job, sell my house, and break up with my partner, who was my husband, and go on this journey of self-love and leave everything I knew behind, sell my things, sell my house, break up my relationship, break up these bonds with my family where they really trusted me and they were proud of me. And I knew that I was going to meet resistance with this. In fact, no one believed in me. They thought that I was crazy and were genuinely, rightly so, as parents, concerned for my mental health and my sanity. And it was a very risky, big move, and I did it very intentionally. It wasn't a it wasn't a big, unconscious thought that I just impulsively did. It was highly, highly consciously thought out, where I sat with myself and contemplated. I didn't know exactly what was making me unhappy, but I knew that these weren't it, and this wasn't it. And I knew that I needed to change, and I needed to make myself really uncomfortable to change and to grow, and to cut the ties from all these people, from my partner, from all the past relationships that I have had as safety blankets to keep me safe and to keep me loved, and the relationships with my family of like them validating me and me doing what they want so they love me. And I realized that, wow, I really don't love myself if I'm seeking this validation from others. And I truly thought that I did love myself, but this was this awakening moment, this clarity that said, wow, Shannon, you really don't love yourself. And I have cried for her so many times. All the past versions of me, the little girl, the woman that I am now, and the woman I am becoming, I'm so proud of them all. I honor them all. I love them all. And it's so heartbreaking when you see yourself and you realize how much hatred and negativity and just lack of love and lack of confidence you have in yourself. And especially when you're able to reflect the amount of love and compassion you can give to others. We have such a hard time giving ourselves the same compassion and the same love that we give to others. And realizing all of this, it was this journey of, I have to save me. I have to do life for me. I wrote letters to my boss, my partner, my family, atoning for my sins, atoning for the ways that I didn't show up in my highest self, where I induced harm unintentionally because I was hurting and harming myself. And I knew that I had to take this journey of loving myself first, putting myself first, with or without any support. And it was scary, scary as hell, because I didn't know if they were going to still love me despite their disagreements with me, what I was doing. I didn't have support. I felt like a newborn baby, alone, scared, in a fetal position, out in the middle of the cold, just starting over again. And with no one there really to guide me or help me except me and my intuition. And my intuition was telling me to go to Peru and sit with ayahuasca, sit with Mother Aya and the medicine and the shamans of the jungle. And so I, for the first time, listened to my intuitive knowing, my truth, and I went into the dark, into this terrifyingly scary place of, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, what am I doing? And letting the fears and the projections of my family and society being like, wow, you're crazy. What are you doing? What if it doesn't work out? And blah. And it was like, there was a point where I was like, wow, yeah, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared and I don't know if this is going to work. And up until the last day that I went, I almost didn't go because I was worried about my mental health and going into this really intense, dark journey of plant medicine with unstable mental health was pretty scary. And anyways, I did end up going and I did take this leap. I did step into the unknown, into the dark, into my fears, into my being aloneness and having to fend for myself and be standing alone and loving me and showing up for me the way that I have always wanted other people to show up for me, and knowing that I was the only one that could make this change for myself. And it all revolved around self-love. So since then, I have just been really following the breadcrumbs of my joy, of magic, and the amount of synchronicities and just magical conscious communities and support systems that have arrived on my porch and my at my feet has been so miraculous to see and be a part of, and I am eternally grateful for that. That was one of the first things that I really needed, was a conscious community, because I found myself in past relationships, not only with my partner, but with my friendships and with just the people I was surrounding myself with. I wasn't being met with the level of depth and the level of authenticity and truth that I needed to flourish. And I noticed myself always kind of self-isolating to heal, like, oh, let me go be with my crystals. That's the only place that I know how to maintain my sanity and get myself regrounded and centered again. And yeah, so the first thing that I consciously put out into the universe was, please, please, Spirit, send me friends, high vibrational friends. Send me my tribe, send me my people. I need support, I need community, I need this healing of other like-minded people who are struggling as well. I need to know I'm not alone. I need to know that people have my back and they understand the struggle, the hardship, all of it. I need to know that people understand me and see me, and it's okay and safe to be just how I am. So I mentioned earlier my biggest struggle being my throat chakra, and this journey has really been about re-exploring and rediscovering who I am and why I'm here, and to help other people, to give them permission to, you don't have to work a 9 to 5, and work doesn't have to be something that is difficult in order to be successful, and you don't need to identify so hard with your emotions, with your thoughts, with your career, and all these different labels and characters and avatars and costumes that you put on. You don't need to identify yourself with that, and your worth is not revolved around that. Your worth has nothing to do with how much money you have, what job you have, your socioeconomic status, your color of your skin, your race, your gender, your ethnic background, none of it. You are source. You are spirit having a human experience. You are the universe. You are the stars wrapped in skin. All of the answers you seek are already within. You are the magic. You are the medicine. You are the guru. You are the teacher. And you always have been. All of the answers and the medicine is within you. We hold these unique keys, these unique codes this unique wisdom and this unique energetic vibration and frequency that only our souls can express in this lifetime. And really our duty as spiritual beings is to awaken to our power, awaken to our inner guru, our inner goddess, and to express and share our medicine and our gifts with the world, because there's only one of us and only us can do that. And if we aren't doing that, we are actually doing the world a disservice. So we can reclaim our power, we can reclaim our sovereignty, we can reclaim our voices and know that we are enough just as we are. And we can release all the shame, all the comparison, all of that ugliness, all of that shadow, that darkness that shows up when we have to show our face on a camera, to social media, speak our voice, worrying about what other people might think, worrying about being canceled, worrying about being judged. These are all things that I have dealt with and I'm still struggling with, because I have always struggled with people pleasing. And again, that goes back to needing that self or that external validation for my self-worth. Because if I if people don't like me, then I will not be loved. That was my story. And an interesting reflection I had was that this is actually very deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness, not only based on individual trauma, but tribal trauma, collective ways of living. If you think about how we were living 2,000 years ago, we were living in community, in tribes, and some people still live this way today. For example, in India and other parts of the world, they need to be accepted by their community, right? And back 2,000 years ago, we needed to be liked and accepted by our neighbors in order to receive water, to receive food, to receive shelter, the basic needs of survival. And so this is a deeply ingrained survival mechanism in our brain. And really the challenge we have is to challenge and bring awareness to our thoughts, bring our awareness to our body, our breath, to our being, so that we can challenge the ideas and the thoughts and the words that we say, and understand whether these are even our words, or these are some programmed words or someone else's limiting beliefs or fear projections that are coming through you. And I have found that a lot of things that I have identified as my beliefs are not my beliefs. They are just subconscious layers of me that have been conditioned by lack mindset from my ancestral trauma, from the collective, from wherever it comes from in multiple ways, shapes, and forms. But being able to identify these limiting beliefs, being able to identify these fears, and the biggest one has come around sharing my voice and sharing my face on a video, and worrying about, being received in a certain way and being liked. And I had to go through this process of asking myself, why am I afraid of this? Is this a valid fear? Because most of our emotions just want to be heard. Just like we want to be heard, most of our emotions want to be brought to the surface, to be felt, to be heard, to be moved out of us so that we no longer hold on to them. And they just want us to listen. So I said, fear, how are you? What do you need? What are you trying to tell me? Is there something that I should know? Is there something I should be worried about? Is there something you know that I don't know? Or am I safe? Am I going to be okay if I share my voice? Am I going to be okay if somebody doesn't like me? And the answer is yes. In fact, my survival is not directly threatened by me sharing my energetic frequency, my voice, my truth. I can rewire my brain, my neural circuitry, my stories, my subconscious beliefs, and decide that that no longer serves me, and step into a higher timeline of who I am in my highest self and how I can serve in the best way for the collective. So it's about this examination of our thoughts, of our feelings, of our beliefs, of our mind, of our brain, of these neural circuit ways and pathways, because a lot of our brain is wired for survival. That is how it works. But there are also different doors, different pathways that we can take. And the more we take the opposite pathways and don't divert to the same comfortable pathway, the more resilient and the more open our perspectives come, the more aware we become, and the more present we become and understand that we can reformulate our beliefs and our thoughts and reclaim our power and our sovereignty and decide that we are the author of our story. And that if we don't like how the book is going, we can change it. We have the power of creator instilled in our DNA, in our cells. We are powerful beyond measure. And I would even go as far as to say, we are afraid of how powerful we are, which is why we don't shine. I know that have been that way and am still navigating that. I am a human being. I am not perfect. I am not ever going to be perfect because, you know what? Perfection doesn't exist. And doing this is giving myself permission to show up in my authenticity, in my truth, and be imperfect, to be messy and share my message, to show you that I am not perfect and that I have feelings and emotions and I struggle with fear and I struggle with sadness and I still sometimes struggle with anxiety or feeling depressed. All of these things, they're constantly moving and changing, and the more that I'm able to speak them out and be conscious and aware of what's showing up and allow myself and give myself permission to feel the emotions and to process them and get them out and move them, the better. And there's an interesting thing that I'm sure some of you are aware of, but animals, like for example, a lion chasing a gazelle on the Serengeti, right? What do they do after they make a kill? They shake. Even your dog at home, once they are done with an energy exchange with you maybe or with another dog, what do? They shake it off. There's a reason why it's called shake it off. It's because we need to move this energy. We need to move this emotion out of our body so that we don't have stagnant, pressed, sticky, constricted energy in our bodies that can manifest as mental health issues, physical issues, all sorts of issues. I am convinced that most of our illness is based on repressed emotions, on things that don't want to be expressed or things that don't feel safe to be expressed and shared. Most people are so afraid of being alone, of being not accepted, of being not loved, of not being enough, of just they want to fit in into the comfort zone. They do everything to feel safe. And I want to encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone, to look into your heart, to listen to your soul, the calling, the unique vibration and energetic frequency that is in your heart, in your DNA. That is why you are here. Because the last thing I want for you or for any of us is to be on your deathbed at 80 years old and looking back on this life recall, wondering and saying, man, I wish I would have lived life for me. I wish I would have had more time with my family. I wish I would have traveled more. I wish I would have seen the world. I wish I would have experienced the vitality and the beauty of all the senses, and I wish I would have really lived. And the challenge for us is to live fully now, because we are never, ever guaranteed tomorrow. In fact, we aren't even guaranteed another breath. And I have seen through my nursing experience many people on their deathbed, and their regrets are always, I wish I would have lived life for me. So how can you live life more for you? How can you take on the authority, the responsibility as the co-creator of your reality, take your power back and decide that you are going to live life for you, even if that makes other people uncomfortable. You are going to shine your light in all of its uniqueness and all of its brilliance, whether people like it or not. And that is really a decision that you get to make. You don't have to struggle in this 9 to 5 to be enough. You don't have to play by society's rules and what the patriarchal system in this matrix has told us and trained us and kept us small. They've kept us numb and dumb so that we can be machines for them. And it is time for us to step out of that and to remember who we are. Remember that we are spirit We are the universe. We are stardust, and we get to choose when we commit and we use our thoughts and our beliefs for abundance and for service and for our highest self and for the highest good of all. We get to choose how to show up in the world. We get to choose what our life story looks like, but only if we're willing to get a little bit uncomfortable, because the comfort zone is where our dreams go to die. So I invite you to explore the inner depths of your heart. What is your heart wanting to express? What is your heart's desire? If you had 1 month left to live, what would you be doing? Who would you be surrounded by? What would it smell like? What would the experiences be? What would you be manifesting? What would you be creating? Would you be writing a book? Would you be sharing a podcast? Would you be traveling the world with your loved ones? What would that look like? Because I challenge you again not to wait. The time is now. The time is right now to step into your highest self, into your truth, into your authenticity, and take back your power as creator and live the life of your dreams, stepping into the abundance that is our birthright, claiming it all. We are here to be change makers, to be way showers, to be the powerful beings that we are, and we have the power to create anything that our imagination can think of. So, with that being said, what are your dreams? What are your hopes? What do you want your life to look like? Don't wait. You don't have to play small. We didn't come here to fit in. We didn't come here to play small. We came here to shine and to be bright and brilliant and radiant and unique and eclectic and colorful and vivid and vibrant. What is your unique signature of vibrancy? What is your soul calling to do? What is your soul yearning for? And what fears are in the way? What are you afraid of? And how can you reframe your beliefs, take your power back, and work through those limiting beliefs that keep you playing small? Because the reality is that when we can take back accountability for ourselves in our own lives and realize that we can quit our 9 to 5 if we want to. We don't have to. No one's telling us we have to do that. We can come up with a million excuses as to why we can't, but when we really examine it, we can. We just have to choose to it and commit to a different frequency and a different story. So I challenge you to really sit with that, to feel into that, to feel this spark, this fire, this flame that is inside of you, and to not let it burn out and dim out like mine did. And if you're feeling that right now, if your spark is dying or lost, please, please reach out. I wanted to share a little bit about what I'm doing with my life now after all of these changes. So right now, I am currently a spiritual life coach and helping people to discover and unlock their life's purpose and their passion, and helping them to really create sacred space for transformation and to step into their power, reclaim their voice. And I'm helping coach people and providing space for this beautiful alchemy, for this process of unlearning, deconditioning, and really being a support, a guide, a mentor for this sacred transformation. So if you are interested and you feel called or you resonate with any of what I have said and you feel like you need a cheerleader, a mentor, a guide, somebody to be there by your side to hold you accountable, to help you through the process of navigation of these difficult emotions and feelings and limiting beliefs, please reach out. I would love more than anything to work with you. And I will share my socials at the end. Another thing that I am sharing as well is I'm currently doing sacred goddess circles with the full moon and the new moon. And I am also leading plant medicine healing circles and retreats. So if you are interested in any of these offerings, if you are feeling your soul is called to step into your highest self, but you feel a little lost, a little overwhelmed, if you feel like you know there's more to life, but you're not sure how to get there, and you're not sure how to do it or navigate it, and you need a little help, please reach out. I would love nothing more than to speak with you. And you can book a free discovery call via my Instagram bio, which is at Soul Searcher Shan. My coaching program is called Golden Light Codes Coaching, and I am so honored and blessed to be sharing this space with you to build rapport, to build trust, to build community, to share and evolve and grow and learn and connect with high vibration people and be the people that we need to not feel alone, to hold hands with our brothers and sisters and rise together into our power, into our light, into our purpose, and into our passion. We are here. We know there is more, and we just have to decide and commit that we are no longer willing to play small, and we are no longer willing to dim our light to make other people comfortable. We are here to shine, and that truly is my message. So please stay tuned for the next episodes to come. I have a super exciting guest coming on next week, which I can't wait to share with you. And I am so excited to see the magic, the synchronicities, and all of the alchemy that comes with this beautiful space of me sharing my authenticity and my truth and how it unfolds, and just really being in this open space of receptivity and excitement and joy and play and bliss, and just really just excited about how it's all going to unfold, because I know even my wildest imagination of what this might look like, I know that it's going to be more grand and wild than even my imagination could ever imagine, because universe and source is involved, and it's always giving me magic, miracles, and blessings when I'm in tune and in alignment with that frequency, with that vibration, being an energetic match for my dharma, my purpose, and my passion. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, stay tuned. More magic to come.